Alrighty, I appear to be live, so this should be interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and do talking and stuff like that. I don't even know if anyone's gonna join this live stream, and that's totally fine. But I do plan to upload it and keep it for posterity and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my little intros and things like that. So anyway, welcome to Forward Under the Stars Bug Hunt. This is actually, I think, the third bug hunt. And it's actually going to be a little bit of a bug hunt / shake and bake. I'm officially making it a bug hunt, but we're probably going to be doing a lot of just feature glances. It's been a while since I've posted something. A video anyway. If you guys are following on my Twitter, I have posted a couple screenshots here and there. For those of you who are privy to it, you may know what we're going to be talking about, or at least one of the things we'll be talking about, and that is, where are you? These guys, Cropia dropships. So we have a new ship in the game, and technically it is flyable. However, since we're not playing, let me switch this over real quick to my face. Partially, we'll leave this in the background. There we go. But the Cecropia dropship is a new ship. It's a support vessel, so it's along the same size as the Scythe Fighter. Because the Cecropias are in the game, which is a support fighter, I've gone ahead and also brought back the Scythe Interceptors. Those are currently not flyable yet. I know I've had them for quite a while now, and they're still not flyable. But you're not going to see any Cecropia flying or personal flying because they're really buggy. And I know since we're doing a bug hunt, that would be a perfect opportunity to investigate some issues, but they are so buggy, I don't think the video would be particularly fun. It is a cool concept, though. The biggest problem with them right now, I guess, really isn't a bug. It's just that the cockpit looks atrocious, and it kind of ruins the suspense of disbelief. So sadly, we will not be visiting them right now. But I have been working on a few things, and we'll kind of go through that. For the most part, a lot of the changes I've been doing and the updates have been a little bit cosmetic. You may notice, whoops, I didn't realize I was that close to the edge. Okay, well, we're going to notice something else. Ignore that giant freighter. Oh, that's right. Those are the dropships, and they're following me. But you may notice as we fly around, now that we're doing the demo, I guess I'll switch it back over. There we go. You may notice as we fly around, it may still be kind of hard to see if it is. Not that big of a deal. I'm planning on going full screen in a little bit, but I thought I'd do some personal narration with my face going for a bit since I've never done this before. It's a new feature. But there are dust particles now in space. And at first I didn't really want dust particles because it didn't feel particularly realistic. But after playing for a while, there are times when you're flying around and you don't feel like you're moving because the distance between objects is just really big a lot of the time. And so I felt there just needed to be something out there in space that was persistent, that would give you that feeling of motion. And so I went ahead and brought the dust particles in. The cool thing about the dust particles, thing I'm most excited about, right now there's only one variation, but I could very easily set it up to have many different variations. So if you fly into a dust cloud or something like that, you'll actually see kind of a dusty sort of environment, which I think would be really cool. So these just little dots floating around, it'll be like little clouds of dust, etc. And that's all just using Unity's Shuriken particle system, I think it's called. Very, you can do a lot with it. It's versatile. That's what I'm trying to say. Very versatile system. So I'm going to go ahead and stop real quick, which I believe, yeah, that's right. I can basically just back out and it auto stops. Another thing I've added, which is kind of a small thing, but I thought it would be really, or it's actually going to be a huge deal in the future, is collectibles. And right now we have our MacGuffin, which is just a sphere. And clearly this is just a placeholder, but I can replace this with any game object. So it could be a model, it can be, particle system, it could be both, it could have sound, etc. So these are going to be able to have a lot of variety. But what will happen is I'm going to collect, and you see you collected the MacGuffin. I'm sure this will come in handy somehow. And it doesn't really do a whole lot right now, but from a developer's perspective, and here's where we get techie. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go full screen here too. Where are you? I got so much garbage going. Here it is. Boop. There we go. And yeah, let's go ahead and I'll just full screen this. Maybe kind of hard to read still, but this is ActScript, which is a lot of the workhorse of what allows me to piece together my game worlds in Forward Under the Stars. So I'm using Unity as the game engine, essentially. And what I do is I create a lot of, I guess you call it like low-level functionality inside of Unity. And then I use ActScript to create high-level scripts for it. So it can define how AI works. It can define what spawns at different key locations. I don't know if you guys can hear that. My apologies. I live right next to a city wall. I'm actually moving, so I'm hoping that maybe in the future, like a future live stream, all that background noise will disappear. But anyway, so yeah, these basically allow me to tie scripts and things to various. Just realized there may be comments. I so hope it's recording audio. I didn't even think about that. But anyway, yeah, various things to objects and things like that. And it allows me to command my game, basically. So the idea is that Forward Under the Stars shouldn't just be my game. It can be your game, too, because these Act scripts are not compiled. What will happen is they're actually sort of interpreted, I guess, bytecode compiled, we'll say, at runtime. When the game starts, it can bytecode compiles them, and then interpretation happens as the game plays out. And what that means and why I did this is, first, flexibility. I tried doing this all with in-game editor things with click and drag and all sorts of fun things. I'm going to pull back here. So yeah, first, flexibility. So I tried doing this fun stuff like that. Very clicky. Type in a text box, click a button, click a checkbox, et cetera, et cetera. And that failed pretty abysmally. It was cool at first, and it was a lot of fun. It was definitely easier than ActScript. Without a doubt, it was easier. But it was also not nearly as flexible. ActScript, the actual code, like what we see here with like the ship begin and all that kind of stuff, this is modeled very strongly after the C programming language. It has a lot of the C constructs built into it. So I can do if branching, I can do looping structures. There's all sorts of fun little things that I can do with it. And that allows me a horrendously large amount of flexibility in what I can do with the scripts. So I don't want this to be all about the scripting language. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump over to collectibles. So where I was going with all this before I went on this huge tirade is, yeah, we have a collectible type. And right now we have our MacGuffin, which we just collected. And what happens is collect gets called, as you would expect, when you collect it. And so this calls all this code. It allows me to do all sorts of fun little things, not the least of which is, yeah, this part right here, which is faction.setFlag. The ID is MacGuffin, and we set it to true. So effectively what that means is you can go through the world, and you can do this for anything. This isn't just collectibles. Like this is available for any event inside the gaming universe. But as an example, the MacGuffin collectible, I could go into, say, Faction AI, and where's Faction AI? Here's Faction AI. And these are, I'm having problems with my deal here. I'll just do that. But anyways, inside of Faction AI, I can go through and I can check to see if certain flags are available. And if they are, then I can change the script, like how the script behaves, depending on that. So, for instance, I can make the pirates, or there's not really pirates, the syndicate, who are essentially pirates. I can make them default mad at the player, but then later on down the road, if you collect a particular object, they'll go, oh, well, maybe you're like we are, and so they won't attack you or something. Like anything's possible, basically. So, that's going to open a lot up. I mean, the scripting system's been huge, and I've added a lot to it too. If I go to the code here, jump over to script system, every one of these lines of code right here is essentially adding to some functionality to the scripting language. These are all generics. So these function calls can be called anywhere. So huge amount of versatility there. Then we have something called object contexts, which are bound to very particular types, but they let me control a faction or control how a ship renders or something like that. And so I've just got a lot of different things that I can do. And so the flexibility of this is going to be awesome. When my game releases, I'm very much hoping that it'll be in a state where people can modify it to their little heart's content. And yeah, you'll be able to build your own games, your own scenarios, possibly create new characters, possibly even new ship types. I mean, I really don't know. I'm going to have to play with it and see how far I can take it. But I think that'll be really cool because if you guys get sick of my game, you guys can mod it and make your game out of it. And that's going to be great. So anyway, we'll go back to this because I know you guys are here to watch me fly around in a starship and you want to see how the game's going. So probably one of the biggest things I've done. Hey, there's the Cecropias. I do kind of wish I could get a little bit closer. Well, you know what they look like because if you're looking at the stream right now, you're looking at one up on the top. That is a Cecropia dropship right there, the purple and black little fighter-looking thing. At first, I was going to have them in a purely dropship mode, but when I started designing it, I was like, this thing looks fast. And so I've decided it might be kind of a dropship / multi-role vessel. It's not going to excel at anything except troop transport, but you can use it in place of interceptors and things like that. And it'll do a pretty decent job. It'll probably be fairly decent at targeting. Please don't crash. Gosh, I don't know what's with that little stutter. It's really weird. Hey, how's it going? But yeah, I think these things are going to be a lot of fun. I think they're gonna be pretty flexible. I was hoping, but it just didn't work out. Friday, I was really hoping to do a lot of work on this, and then I just ended up with real life work that ended up taking up my entire day. I'll probably be back at it at Monday too. It's just been a mess. But because of that, yeah, I haven't been able to work on this as much as I'd wanted, which seems to be the MO lately. As I mentioned earlier, I'm also buying a house, so this has been very hectic. So yeah, I do apologize again for not being there for you guys, but it's just that 2019 has been a rough year. So I'm hoping once things get closer to December, I'm hoping things will smooth out. By then, I should be in my new house, and I should be mostly comfortable with stuff. And there won't be background traffic noises. I'm going to a much quieter place, and I'm super happy about that. But anyway, yeah, back to our Cecropia here. Yeah, I think it's just going to be really cool. They're very fun to fly. They're fast, which is cool. And yeah, I'm hoping to allow for dockability. That was always one of the big things that I've wanted to add to this game is the ability to, if we were able to, whoa, ignore that. But anyways, if we were able to go through here and see more parts of the ship, I would definitely want a hangar to be available. And I was really hoping to build a hangar out, but just ran out of time to do that. And then maybe work on some proto ship docking functionality. And I think that would be really cool. In fact, the Cecropias are not supposed to have hyperdrive systems. They are short range, hence the support fighter role that they're in. And because of that, it's expected that you would have to carry them. But since I don't have carrier capacity right now, I've gone ahead and strapped hyperdrives to them. So if we do fly off into the wild black yonder here, which we shall do, they'll be able to follow along, which is great. Also, I'm hoping this live stream, forgot to mention, yeah, I'm hoping to keep this live stream going for about an hour. I don't want it to be a massive live stream, but, I wanted to give some time, fly around, get to the meat and potatoes of everything, and see how we go. I am noticing, because I'm using StreamYard, if you guys hadn't figured it out, but I can't tell even if anybody's joined the chat. Looks like, let me see. All right, we're in hyperspace. I'm just going to idle here for a bit and kind of play around with StreamYard. Let's see. Just pop this on. There we go. Started. I lost the sub. Fantastic. Okay, so looks like there's a little bit of a delay, which I guess is pretty normal. Okay, back to the game. We don't want to mess with StreamYard all day. So like I said, I'm kind of getting used to it. But let's go ahead and have some fun. Excuse me. So I've been trying to find ways of making the game more fun, and I am always, always, always up to suggestions on that. One of the games I've been playing recently is Battlezone, my good friend Battlezone. I've been playing Combat Commander. Ultimately, I like the first Battlezone better, but Combat Commander, I will admit, has a much more fluid user interface, and that appeals to me a lot. So I've been playing a little Combat Commander, and I have taken some inspiration from it. And I'll show you guys that in a second. First, let's go to a place. We'll go to Nefertiti Outpost. Boom. We are there. And one of the things I can do... Oh, you know what? There might be some echo on that, too. So I'm going to pull that back. Totally forgot about that. Hope there hasn't been massive echo this entire time. But anyway, so... Yeah, I've also had voiceovers too. They're placeholders. They're all me, but just kind of get a feel for the game and like how I want it to. When you're flying around and stuff, when you're just looking at frigates and things like that, it feels like you're all alone. So I wanted like voiceovers and stuff to make it sound like that there's actually people piloting said frigates and other ships, and it does help. I like that. But anyway, so one of the things that I've done regarding Battlezone here is I've worked a little bit on the command system, and that's all done through a radial menu. I'm also using my Xbox One controller. This does work, obviously, keyboard and mouse. It's actually, I think, a little bit better with keyboard and mouse, but if I do that, you're going to hear a bunch of, like, that's super frustrating and irritating. So I decided you didn't want to hear that. But anyway, yeah, so we have radial menu here. And I've got all my ships or groups on the left here, and then these are places I can send them on the right, but I also have context options available. And again, this is all rudimentary. Probably a lot of this is going to change out at some point. But I can select, say, these two guys, and I can tell them to escort a target. And now they're going to go and do that, which isn't terribly exciting because they're already there, but you can see that the frigate is moving to look at it. And these guys over here are probably doing the same thing. Yep, they're just kind of hanging out with it. But, yeah, one of the other cool things is one things I can do is I can have the Cecropias follow the Fenrir. By the way, if you guys are wondering about the names of things, you're probably like, what the heck is a Cecropia? What the heck is a Fenrir? Fenrir, I'm a little hazy on this. I did some research on it and then promptly forgot. But essentially, it's Fenrir was kind of like a werewolf. He wasn't actually a werewolf, as I recall, and I need to do a little bit more background reading on it, but it sounded really cool. Cecropias are actually a type of moth, and I named them that because I was like, dude, that looks like a Cecropia moth, so it made sense. So that's where the naming's coming from, if you're wondering. But anyway, back to the command menu. We can go ahead and send people places. So say if I wanted to send somebody to Alliance, we started at Phoenix, but if I want to send somebody to Alliance, I can go ahead and do that. So I basically just told the other frigate here to go to Alliance, essentially. And another thing that I want to do is tell myself to go escort that target. And boom, I am not controlling the ship right now. The ship is now essentially in AI mode. And this is another fun feature because if you want to command directly from the bridge and you don't want to take direct control of the ship, right now, there are times you may need to direct control your ship, but once you do a lot of the exploration and things like that, you can basically just send commands to everything in your fleet, and the game becomes more like a real-time strategy game than a space simulator. And again, you don't need to. If you enjoy flying the ships around, I'm not going to stop you from doing that, and there are definitely advantages to doing that. For one thing, the AI is not the sharpest tool in the shed right now. It does sometimes accidentally friendly fire, and that can be a serious problem, especially because if you friendly fire a neutral, they will temporarily go hostile to you. And so now when you're shooting at really, really bad things, okay, that feature was fixed, so we're going to log that down as a bug. I'll have to look into that. Very weird. But anyway, oh gosh, what was I saying? I knew this day would happen. Crap, I really don't remember. I could look on the stream, but I'm not going to. Okay, but anyway, we just sent... Oh, yeah. Yeah, direct controlling will allow you to more easily avoid those situations of friendly firing because, yeah, if you're being attacked by the Syndicate and you accidentally hit, say, Echelon or an Independent or something like that, now they're going to be shooting at you too, and you probably don't need that. So yeah, it's typically better, at least for now, to direct control in combat. But I do plan to solve that issue. So if you are, or I'm going to try to make it where the AI is going to attempt to detect if what you're shooting at could potentially hit another vessel and deal with that more appropriately. So, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and have the Finner follow me, because another thing I did, and that was just basically to showcase that you can do that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and flip this back into full screen mode. We are going to explore, because exploration is actually a little bit more interesting now. It used to be that things would pop up at around, I think it was 100 or 200 light seconds. That's been halved. And to make matters worse for you in the area of exploration, there are some things that are inhibited, which means you have to get even closer to them to detect them. And one such area is the excavation points, which are kind of boring right now, but that's one thing I would love for you guys to consider, or just give me some advice on. I plan on doing some things to make the extraction zones much more interesting. In fact, going back to Battlezone, that's one of the things I've been thinking about. Not just Battlezone, but this is really real-time strategy games in general. I really want this to have a real-time strategy aspect to it. And even though it's very much first person, you're on the bridge and all that, I like games where you have to think a little bit, and I definitely want that for this. So having the extraction zones, by definition, means there should be some sort of a resource there that you can get. So I'm trying to figure out the best way of going about that. Should all the metal in the game just be in extraction zones, and those extraction zones are not owned? So when you go there, you may have to fight for the resources. And I don't think that's such a bad idea, really. I think that could be, make the game kind of fun, because, you are basically, everybody is going to the same extraction zone. So if you're allied with them, great, you got a friend. If you're hostile to them, they're going to attack you on sight, because they want the resources just as much as you do. Could also create hostilities. So somebody you're neutral with may not be too happy that you're taking all the goods, and they may go hostile with you. There's a lot of options for gameplay out there. And I do want a diplomacy sort of thing going on as well. So, faction relationships might deteriorate over time depending on how things are going. So, let's see. Dang, I'm starting to wonder if I can do an entire hour live stream. There's not a whole lot to talk about right now. We will get into a fight, though. I do plan on doing that. For now, though, we are going to fly around, because the extraction zones are near the star, but they are a little bit difficult to locate. There are actually key locations that are harder to locate, theoretically. Turns out, though, they're all sort of clustered in a particular spot. So I know how to find them very quickly. Actually, a lot easier than this. But that's part of the fun, is exploration. Yay, let's talk about sensors. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. Clearly, when you play space games like these, a lot of the fun is in customization. I've got a small variety of ships you can fly right now, but that's usually not enough for a player. They usually are like, yeah, it's great, I got a ship, but I want to deck it out. I want to make it my ship, And so I've been doing some thinking about that, and I've thought, clearly, we're going to want to modify your weapon loadouts. And, if you got missile launchers and stuff, what types of missiles you're launching, if you have torpedoes and things like that. Maybe do some things with thrusters and engines, armor, possibly. I'm not really entirely sure how that's going to work out. But I was also thinking, what about ship sensors? And that really kind of opens up a large door for gameplay, because sensors are there for discovery. So there could be things in outer space that you are just completely incapable of finding. Your ship is just garbage for locating it. But over time, as you make money and complete missions and things like that, you may end up where you're able to buy new sensor arrays. And I could have different types of sensor arrays. Like I could have radio band detectors, which are probably the stock ones, where anything that fires off a radio transmission can easily be picked up. But then there's also like electromagnetism, infrared, could be a large variety of things. Hey, there's an extraction zone. And we also found Hudson Prospect. They were near each other. Cool. But anyway, because of that, the default sensors would be pretty much trash for finding anything but radio waves. So basically, if it isn't broadcasting, you're not going to hear it. And as you keep on going, though, you'll start getting like EM detection and infrared detection, maybe gravity well detection, and I totally overshot that. Good for me. I could always put the auto on. And that would allow you to start finding some more interesting things. But those interesting key locations wouldn't just be necessarily resource sites. They would be, there we go. And I got a little bit of work to do, but I did try to make it where the backgrounds fluidly move into place. But it does do some weird trickery with the brain because it makes it look like the backgrounds are actually closer than the foregrounds for about 1 second. So I'm going to play with that. But anyway, yeah, with the sensor systems, I do have some things that I want to put in the game. Discoveries the player can make that, we have an unknown set of craft coming to kill us. Oh, and the Syndicate. This is going to get ugly very fast. I may not even survive this. We may lose ships. But with the sensors, keep getting interrupted here. Yeah, make plot things, plot devices and things like that. Stuff that, cool things the player picks up and finds, but also things that kind of drive the story of the game as you go. And these things, you just have to upgrade your ship in order to find them. And that, I think, could be really exciting. You could also find resource sites that are way cooler than anything that you would find normally with just a radio band sensor. So, there could be a lot of benefits to it. And yeah, we'll play with the sensors a little bit more later. Right now, all that stuff is not implemented. The only thing I have is sensor inhibiting. So some key locations are just really difficult to find. I actually am not sure I can take on what's attacking me. It very much depends on what comes. The unknown ships I happen to know are going to send drop ships at us. But the Syndicate can send drop ships, interceptors, frigates, and I think even cruisers to us. So we're going to have to watch out for them. I need to modify the black ships, though. You may be thinking, what are the black ships? Well, that's kind of the point. They're unknown. And if all goes according to plan, I won't actually ever be able to answer that question because one of the things I want to try to do is introduce random plot. Contacts. All right, so we can go ahead and send. Actually, let's send everybody. Oh, do they kill it? Okay, let's do. We're so fast at breaking things. Yeah. Well, if that's ever an issue, one of the things you can do is you can do that. And that will set everybody within a patrol context. So if anything bad pops up, they'll just go straight for it and try to kill it. So it looks like we're doing pretty well here, though. Yeah, those are all dead. I don't even know. Were those Syndicate? I hope those are Syndicate. Yeah, one of the cool things also about the command menu is you can get an at-a-glance ship health, and you can see the different armor quadrants as well as the hull integrity. Everyone's got full hull right now, but a lot of our guys are losing armor, so we'll probably have to go back for repairs at some point. For now, though, these are the black ships, because I have IFF failures, which is never good. You also notice Cecropias in the background. Oh, gosh, that guy's getting hosed. Oh, I lost one. Oh, no. Jeez Louise, dude, they really 1-2 punched us. How we doing? Okay, yeah, I'm sending you guys home. Go to Hudson Prospect. All right, we'll have the frigates deal with the bad guys while the support ships get out. Look at that. Lead fighter in our dropship group is so beat up you can barely distinguish his icon. So, yeah, they're going to go ahead and head out. I suppose we could escort them. That would be nice of us. Make sure they get home safely. Actually, going to Hudson Prospect because it's the. Oh, that apparently somebody's texting me. Going to Hudson Prospect because it's the closest neutral base. That's another thing too, is you will notice that the key locations are listed in alphabetical order, and that's just to make things a little bit easier. Typically, if you're under attack or need to make a quick move, you can just at a glance go, oh, Hudson Prospect, I know that's friendly, so I'll send my guys there. It's the nearest thing, and you don't have to think about distances and stuff like that. That also means the key location you're currently at ends up the top, which also comes in handy sometimes if you want to set patrols and things like that. In fact, I might turn that into patrol current system or something like that. I guess the name's fine. It would be nice to know where you are, I suppose. So, all right. There we go. And the AI is a lot better at landing or going to key locations now. Yeah, it looks like they're already starting to heal because the back armor is back for lead dropship. Yeah, and again, you're probably like, oh, it's a dropship. Why is it fighting? Well, I think I mentioned earlier, but their primary role will be troop transport. And I haven't quite figured out how that's going to work exactly, but clearly, if you have a relay station or any type of station for that matter, it should be able to change hands. I'm not entirely sure yet that I want to allow space stations to be blown up, but I absolutely want them to be claimable. So if you want, you could send a bunch of drop ships to this ore mine, for instance, and your troops would go down and take it over. And another thing too, and I kind of want to say this, but it was part of the original game design, so I'm going to go ahead and do it and probably put myself in a position later. But I am planning on allowing the player to land onto, say, an ore relay mine, potentially hostile, and attack themselves. One of the things I also want to do is have key players in the game, which will be semi-NPC characters, and I'll get to that in a second, that you'll discover throughout the game one way or another. And once you discover them, you'll be able to recruit them and use them for commanding fleets, commanding ships, going down into stations and taking them over, things like that. And why I say semi-NPC is because I do want them to have an automated aspect to them where it's just like basic management. But I do like the idea of the player being able to directly take over their persona. And that I think is important because a lot of the time, one of the issues I hear in a lot of people playing games, especially ones where you have NPC buddies, is how you're always having to babysit your NPCs. And I really don't want that kind of a bad taste for my player base. So my idea is to make it to where you direct control those characters instead. So now you're making their decisions directly and you're not really babysitting them so much. Now, will you have squad mates? Probably. But the way I see squad mates is they're more of a resource. Uh-oh, we're being attacked again. So as a resource, they, if you lose them, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Whereas with a key player, if you lose them, they're gone forever. Okay, cool. That looked like a frigate for a second. I was getting a little worried. Oh, it's the unknowns. They only send dropships. That's right. We're fine. We're fine. Oh, and yeah, there's a little bit of a tiny elephant in the room here. I'm sorry for the mouse pointer in the center of the stream. I don't know. It seems to be a weird issue with StreamYard. In game, I don't see that at all. So I'm guessing that StreamYard's probably superimposing a mouse cursor because it's like, hey, the mouse is here. I should put a cursor there. And that's really weird. But we're stuck with it. So just ignore it. And let me see. Is everybody repaired? Looks like everybody's repaired. Okay, cool. So I'll go ahead and have these guys follow me. And let's go ahead and do some more flying about. Oh, don't run into my own guys. I have collision detection disabled. I do want to re-enable it, but, well, it's AIs. I'm still tweaking their pathfinding. They make mistakes. So I've disabled it in the time being. more fun having a game where people don't just randomly blow up on you because they made a stupid decision, and instead they blow up on you because you were attacked and weren't paying attention. That's right. This game requires you to pay attention. Good luck. All right, so let's go ahead and fly to Serenity. That's one of the nice things. I'm having some issues with the dead zone on this. It's kind of irk. I don't know. I'm going to play with it. Yeah, I definitely don't want the PC base, the mouse and keyboard players to be angry and think that this was controller first. I am working to kind of do both, where I'm trying to build my interfaces in a way that I feel that people on with keyboard and mouse they'll find it appealing or natural, I guess is more the term. And I missed it. I'm so bad. Excuse me. But yeah, I want to keep it very natural for standard PC players. But I have also found, two things. I do actually enjoy playing with a gamepad. I find it relaxing, I guess, because I don't have to bend forward at my keyboard quite as much. My desk is a little short, and it's not as relaxing to be typing, I guess. But I was also thinking for people who might like have it hooked up to their TV and are playing on a couch or something like that, that can happen. I've done it myself. Yeah, that may be kind of rare, but I don't know. It's pretty. Whoa, what do we have going on here? Oh, okay. Hey guys, could you not blow up the Allied station? That'd be great. Okay, I don't want to make the really don't want to make the freighter angry at me. I don't think he'd really care. It's not like he could do much, but still, it's a little bit less bullets to deal with. There we go. All right, one down. And I'm guessing there's more. Did I just take fire from my own guy because I'm dumb? How are we doing? That's good. Contacts. Go ahead and pop these guys. Oh, I can't shoot them anymore. That's another feature I added. So there are now blind spots and turrets. Yeah, this guy is absolutely staying in my blind spot. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. In fact, I should actually, that was kind of an accident, but I should really throw something in the programming to make that the case. There we go. Look at that. Dude, we got so many of us just going out blowing stuff up. This is fantastic. Not me, guys. So, yeah, that was our wingman, frigate, and sector patrol. Taking out the garbage. All right, I think we took a little bit of damage, but not too bad. The frigate may have taken a tinge. His paint's probably a little bit scratched, so we'll go ahead and repair him too. We will repair ourselves. Fortunately, we have not taken very much damage. I don't remember if I talked about this or not, but the new behavior system is really awesome. I learned this trick from another game and modified it for my game. But effectively, how it works is there are a bunch of different states that a ship can be in. And those states can be anything from there are enemies present to I'm beat up or I'm not where I should be. A lot of different things. And I can weight those different states. And then I can also add actions to those states. And all of that is completely customizable. So what that means is rather than just giving an order and being like, do exactly this one thing, when I issue an order, it actually issues a behavior. And typically, because you typically want your ships to be doing the order you give them, whatever it is I told them to do. So if I tell them attack that target, that'll typically be the highest weighted behavior. But there may be times where they have to sort of improvise in game. Like, for instance, if they take too much damage, even if I told them to attack a target, I may want them to run away because it's more important that my ship survive than their ship die. So I can actually write the behavior where if they take too much damage, they'll turn tail and run, and I don't have to, babysit them or anything, which is a really cool concept. It also means that for sector patrols and things like that, if I tell somebody, hey, go patrol this sector, if they go around and they get beat up, especially if I'm not in sector with them, I don't have to worry because they will, if they take too much damage, even if they're still engaging, once they're done and clean up the battlefield, they will automatically decide to go repair themselves. So I don't have to issue that order. And that is super handy, especially in a game like this, because that was one thing I was worried about was since there's so much of a first-person aspect to this game, I was deathly afraid that the amount of micromanagement the player would have to do would be overwhelming because you have such a narrow vision of your world. And that's really hard to design around. So I thought, if I could make the artificial intelligence in the game smart enough to not have to be handheld by the player all the time, that can make the game still fun, allow the player to go out and explore and not have to worry too much about their fleets. Their fleets will take care of themselves. So really excited about it. It's worked out super well so far. I've really not had any issues with it. Basically, whenever something does something stupid, it's because I look at my behaviors and I go, oh, I weighted that wrong. That was my fault, not the ship's fault. So it's been great. All right, we'll go ahead and fly through an extraction site. But like I said, there's really nothing here. But I'm going to go ahead and also have this freighter follow me, which is way far away. He would be, or she, actually, my volume's down. I don't know if that was a guy or a girl. But anyway, this particular individual is probably all the way back at base, so it may take a while for them to get here. Boop. And now we are in an asteroid belt. So yeah, these areas are the ones that they're completely empty right now, but I'm hoping that you guys, the player base, can give me some ideas. What I'm looking for is, because, okay, there's at least 3 of these extraction sites. I have 5 of them defined, but with this system over here, when you have too many defined and too many discovered, it takes up like 5 slots, and then it's kind of hard to get to other locations. So I have it narrowed down to 3. But anyways, the idea is that you should be able to come here and get a resource. But the way I want it to sort of play out is that resource gets expended. And when that happens, there's a timeout. And so you have to wait for that timeout. Maybe it's like 5 or 10 minutes. And then that resource will respawn after that certain amount of time. And the reason I want to do that is because it'll keep you cycling. So once you find like 3 resource extraction sites, you can't just build up in one area and be like, this is mine, come get it. Because that site will run out periodically. And it's more efficient then to go to all 3 of the sites to pick up all the resources that you can get. And if you want to, because you happen to be rolling in cash, try to defend all 3 of the sites. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But at least initially in the game, once you don't have a lot of money to work with, it's going to make you have to keep moving around. And again, I liken this to Battle Zone, the first one specifically, although this is the case in the second one as well, where the scavengers, as the battle shifts, the scrap piles change in the map. And so your scavengers never end up in the same place over time. They're constantly having to move around because the resources are constantly moving around. And it means you're constantly having to shift your tactics a bit and keeps the game fresh and interesting. And it's, unlike games like StarCraft where, it's just, here's a resource pile, defend it. I feel like you're looking over your shoulder more in Battle Zone. And I like that. I think it makes the game more interesting. So give me ideas on that. If you guys are happy with that, that'd be great. I think the biggest problem is just that, I hope that's on my side. I think it is. We haven't been notified of an attack. But the biggest problem I have is the only thing I can think can be here would be, ore, like iron and other fun metals. Things that you could probably get on a planet or on a moon orbiting a planet. So I don't see... Oh, actually, that's the guy I was looking for. Cool. I don't see any reason to move away into the extraction zones, unless basically all resources work the same way, where you mine them for a little while and then they time out. I don't know. Again, if you guys got any thoughts, go ahead and, I guess, post in comments, because it looks like this live stream's not really getting any followings right now, but I sort of expected that. I didn't advertise it, and this channel right now just has a very small following. So, But anyway, yeah, post in comments if you have any ideas on that. That would be great. In fact, I am thinking about closing the stream down a little bit early, simply because this is probably going to end up more of a video than a typical live stream. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I do like my details. I'm pretty proud of it. I do have to reskin everything, which makes me a little sad for the freighters, because I like the way the freighters turned out. Good old what's that program? Substance Painter. Substance Painter is absolutely amazing. Where is the rest of my team, though? These guys were closer, and they're not here. Did I not issue that order? I really don't know, but anyway. Come on. I want to try to get close to you. One thing Battlezone has, mine doesn't yet, is a halt command. That is so tempting. Although, to be fair, I don't think a halt command would be terribly useful. Oh, you're turning. I wanted to look at you. Oh, well, whatever. I may be wondering where I get ship designs. And sometimes, this freighter is actually an example of it. Sometimes I'll be lying in bed at night, and I'll just get a flash image of something. And this freighter was actually an example of that. I saw something with this sort of triangular front and that 3-engine layout, and it looked really cool. Problem is, I apparently have a minor case of aphantasia, which I didn't even know was a thing, but there's another live streamer that I watch a lot, and apparently he has full-blown aphantasia. And what that is it means you can't really visualize things well in your head. For him, I guess he can't see anything, or it's just like really very hard to see in his mind. Like he has very little mind's eye, if any at all. I do have a bit of a mind's eye, but it's when I visualize things in my head, it's like looking at it through a really grainy old television. I can't really visualize it that well. And I always thought that was normal, but apparently it's not. Apparently a lot of people, when they visualize things in their heads, they can see it really clearly. So that surprised me. But anyway, that's how these usually show up to me, is this kind of like grainy form. And I'm just like, that looks kind of cool, but I don't exactly know what it is. And so I'll open up 3D Studio and I'll start building what I can see in my head, and then just sort of fill the rest of it out. And so that's how these things come to be. It's usually just some idea that I saw in my mind that was kind of hazy, and I just wanted to know what the final thought was. So I sat there and did the rest of it. Not everything, though. Sometimes I'll just sit in 3D Studio or some other paint package or whatever, or 3D package, and I'll just start messing around with shapes and see what comes out. And if something looks particularly awesome, then I'll roll with it. And a good example of that's actually the Cycropias, the dropships. They, these little guys, where are you? Excuse me, sir. You're kind of in the way. But yeah, the dropships, well, the one on the top there, they are, I had a basic idea for what I wanted in the design, but yeah, I wasn't sure. So I just kept kind of fiddling around, extrude this and, bevel that, and just kind of messed with it until finally I was like, you know what, this looks good. And yeah, just kind of tightened it up, I guess. And just adding details and things like that. And I think it turned out really well. I'm actually really proud of it. I think it's a unique enough dropship. It's clearly a dropship if you look at it, especially from the underbelly. I think we got a shot of that earlier on in the stream. You can totally see where the cargo bay is on it. It's very clear, and I love that about it. But it does still kind of have a bit of a fighter aesthetic to it, which makes it look mean and tough and sleek. And I think it turned out to be a pretty attractive little vessel, if I do say so myself. So, yeah. Oh, real quick. I don't want this guy following me anymore. He gonna get himself killed. All right. Where am I going next? We're going this way. That's where we're going. All right, cool. Oh, right. These things zero out. There we go. Alrighty. So let me see. We talked a little bit about the Cecropia. Oh, yeah. Another thing with the Cecropia, too, is I'm testing my new, my new material system. And that is actually based off of Star Citizen a little bit. To be fair, though, I think other space games are using the same concept. I don't know if you guys saw those little blue dots, but those are probably coming to kill us. Oh, well. But anyways, back to the new material system. It is designed to allow really close detail while still making the ship as a whole look really unique. One of the problems with close-up detail is you typically are tiling your textures, and that gets very noticeable. Your mind will start picking out patterns, and you'll start going, "Oh, okay, this is just a repeated texture," and it kind of breaks the aesthetic. So how this works is right now, I'm going to modify it some more, but oh crap, we're going too fast. Let's slow down. Yeah, how it works right now is I'm able to submaterial things and add, multiple small materials to it to just give it some differences. And, so different parts of the ship look a little bit different. That's why you've got the purple, the black, and the white. The cockpit's kind of a copper color and all that. All those are separate materials. And then the final thing that really makes it pop is there are decals, which you're not going to be able to see at all because I don't have a close-up shot of it right now. I'm hoping once I get the, it's Dig Site Beta. I'm about to close the stream down anyway. Let's go have a grand finale. So in the past, you guys have probably noticed that there was a Dig Site Alpha. This is Dig Site Beta, and it's got an IFF failure. That's because this is essentially the staging point of the black ships. There's also a Dig Site Delta, and eventually there will probably be a Dig Site Gamma. For now, I'm going to keep those a secret. In fact, I haven't really expressed much of anything of what the dig sites represent. I think you can use your mind to figure that out. This game's going to have secrets. And we're probably all about to die. Oh my gosh, we are. Okay, this is very, very bad. Go to Phoenix Landing. Oh, crud. Okay, so they know we are so done for. Okay, I got to think this through. We're getting hosed. Oh, we are so done for. So they also sent support fighters to attack us as well. And the armor system, as you've probably guessed, is... We just died, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Well, that stinks. All right. Well, that was a little underwhelming, I guess, but whatever. We tried. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here, though. The game gets hard. Very, very hard at times. I'm hoping to find a way to balance that out. One of the things that I have done so far, all this stuff, though, it's probably going to get changed before final release, but at least in the interim, I want the game to be as hard as you play it. So if you're mainly flying around, just exploring and having a leisurely Sunday fly through the solar system, I'm probably not going to have things attack you too much. But as soon as you start getting a little bit imperialistic, going to the extraction sites and, maybe attacking things that you probably shouldn't be attacking or should, the game's going to push back. And you're going to start seeing ships start to spawn and attack you. My example of this, and I guess I'll go back to this. Where's the faction AIs? Yeah. So my example of this with the faction AIs is you'll notice that on some of these, I'll have a player location has tagged piracy. And what that basically is saying is if the player is in a location that is marked for piracy, then there's a chance that the syndicate is going to send a fleet to attack the player. And as you would expect, not all key locations are flagged for piracy. So depending on where you are in the game, like if I stay at Phoenix Landing and just kind of hang around and bump into the station or whatever, I'm never going to get attacked. But as soon as I fly to the extraction sites or any of the asteroid fields, including Hudson Prospect and Janus, Janus Mining, I think it is. All those areas are marked piracy. So if I linger around there too long, there's a very strong chance that either the syndicate or the black ships are going to come by and wreck my day. And that's kind of how I want the game to play out. It's like if you're trying to do something, if you're trying to get a reward in the game, because all these sites would represent a place where you could mine and gain resources for success, to build up your faction, make yourself awesome, I guess, bigger ships, fun stuff. That is, you're looking for a reward essentially. So there should be a risk associated with it. So high risk, high reward. And that's how that's going to play out. Some exploration is going to be like that too. Originally, if you fly around and, you find something fairly placid, good for you, have fun. It's probably just, some nice little place, space whales, who knows, something that's not going to net you anything, but hey, cool, you found it. It's an Easter egg. Enjoy it. But throughout exploration, in which is going to be a big part of the game, you're going to run into things that are going to yield probably very big rewards. And those are probably going to have very big risks associated with them too. Even Minecraft, I think, is kind of like that in a way. When you find all the really cool treasure chests with all the really cool things, oh, my knee's killing me. Usually there's, spider spawners and all sorts of fun little things like that hanging around. And I think that's just ultimately good game design, and really it's just about pushing back against the player at the level the player is expecting to get pushed back. For that very reason too, I don't think there's going to be a easy, medium, or difficult level to this game. Effectively, it's going to be as difficult as you make it, depending on your choices in the game. There are going to be some difficulty factors. The X series very frequently in their games has different start outs. And I like that concept. So I've been thinking about maybe having a difficult start out, which doesn't adjust the AI levels in any way, shape, or form, but rather just starts you out with like 0 credits and, a snub fighter. And you're stuck in an area that you can't get out of. So the only thing you can do is go to the local station and take on missions until you have enough money to buy like a Corvette, which actually has a hyperdrive, and then you can leave that particular area. And that would be your very hard difficulty, I would say. You're basically penniless, worthless, nobody takes you seriously, and you have a very cheap ship, and that is it. And you just have to work your way up to the top. And I definitely want to include something like that because I think that would be really fun for the hardcore gamers who are like, hey, I want to start with nothing, and I want to play this game for months and get to the top of the food chain, have my own faction, have my own stations in multiple solar systems, huge fleets, all sorts of stuff, and know that when I started this game I started with nothing. I think that would be the most rewarding game start possible. But I also know that there are people that just want to hit the ground running, so I want to create some intermediate game starts. And finally, one that's kind of what you're looking at right now, where basically I've been gifted Phoenix Landing. It's totally mine. I can do whatever I want with it. And I've also got a few starting ships as well, including 2 freighters, 2 frigates, and some Cecropia support ships. And I think that would be a fun game start for people who just want to play an RTS with an FPS aspect to it. So another thing, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but you may or may not have noticed, based if you're comparing this stream with other videos, the game world is completely random. Every time you start it, the locations of planets and the intermediate key locations are all different. So I can't know where the resource extraction sites are going to be from one gameplay to another. And of course, I also wanted to introduce that in the storyline where, again, the black ships are a perfect example. Currently, we have no idea who controls the black ships. They're just flying around creating chaos. We don't know why or anything like that. Well, I don't want there to be a single solution to that storyline. I want there to be, 3 or 4 different solutions to that storyline. And depending on your game start, determines how that plays out. So if you just put a random seed in there, you're not going to know who's at fault, who's controlling the black ships. And it's going to be one of the factions in the game, but you won't know. In fact, you may be good allies with that faction, not even know it. It could be the Syndicate, could be Echelon, could be the UEC, the Free World Alliance, could even be New Foods. Who knows? But yeah, that's a lot of what I want in the game is every time you play it, it's a different experience. And I think I can make that happen. I have some ideas for doing it. I've rambled on pretty much the entire video. probably for the good thing, because no one likes dead air. But I think now's probably a good time to close it up. If you guys like the video or the stream, whatever, go ahead, give it a like, subscribe if you're interested in this kind of content. The entire purpose of these videos and these streams is to show the production as it's happening of a video game. And I'm kind of new to this whole thing. I've been programming as I guess an indie video game developer since I was 12, and I've just never released anything. So this is kind of my first attempt at it. Yeah, I'm a total newbie and everything, and so I'm not asking for money yet. I do need to start asking for money at some point, but I want to establish myself that, like, you know, progress is happening. I'm trustworthy. I'm not just going to take the money and ditch the project. This has been a lifelong passion for me. I want to finish this game. So if you're interested in seeing how this plays out, if you're interested in the game, definitely subscribe to the channel. Give it a like so I can get a little bit more exposure. Other people can find this channel as well. And yeah, I guess that's basically it. Oh, comment. Yeah, if you have ideas, recommendations, things you like, things you don't like, post them in comments. Only ask. I need a little bit of gentleness here, so just be polite, you know, is all. Especially with other people too. Like I can actually take more than I'm leading on to, but you know, for other commenters and stuff like that, if somebody says something and you think it's stupid, don't say you're stupid. Tell them, like, well, that may not work because of such and such. Just be polite is all. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for viewing this video, and hopefully I can start posting again more regularly soon. And I'll see you guys in the next one.